Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero for Friday, June 30th, 2023. I'm just I just pulled it up on my Facebook and I see the angry react, and I think I'm just going to hit the angry react because I'm angry.
You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on the Radio Zero page on Facebook and the Poster Children page on Facebook, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. You can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thanks to everybody who is patronizing us. There's a show upcoming. Poster Children will be playing Saturday, July 15th in Cudahy, near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the X-Ray Arcade with Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends and Delicious Monsters. Tickets available. You can check that out at posterchildren.com.
Are we going to... .com. I've been watching The Bear. Are we going to play the Laverne and Shirley theme? Are they from there? Are they from Milwaukee? Is Cudahy near Milwaukee?
It is. And
how does it go?
Nothing people like from Milwaukee like better. That's Taxi.
It's close. What's the Laverne and Shirley theme? You people...
Schlemiel. Schlemazel.
Something
Hassenpfeffer Incorporated. We're going to do it our way.
We're going to do it. Oh, my God. How come that stuff's not on late night? How come you keep watching Wild Wild West? I Dream a Genie is probably up there. Like, what other... Okay.
Because Laverne and Shirley sucks.
Okay.
You know, who was talking about that? Who's talking about how they had a timer going at some point where to time how long each of them had screen time and speaking per episode. It got to that point where it was so crazy that they had to have equal number of minutes.
Oh, that's great. You know, and then it's a show with two ladies. Well, I guess there were. All right, this is not.
Well,
not
and
on the
one
list.
of them is the creator's sister.
Right. Do you want to what? Okay. Do you want to talk about our shows? I have, these are the three things I have on my list now. I have our shows, I have politics, I have read DJ's note, and then I have The Bear. So I think we should finish with The Bear because the politics thing is going to spiral downward pretty quickly.
So this is the conversation we're supposed to have before the show when I said, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, I told you what we were going to talk about. At least I know this time.
We're planning it.
So let's talk about our shows first. We had a good time playing shows, right? We visited Madison, Wisconsin, and we played in Bloomington. And then we had played Chicago earlier, right?
That's correct, but we've had an episode since then.
Okay, so we played Madison first, and then we played Bloomington. It was like we were on tour.
Except we finished after 2 days.
Yes. So Madison was wonderful, but I couldn't believe that we hadn't played since 2009. Is that really true that we hadn't played in Madison since 2009?
Well,
that's a long time.
I looked it up a couple times, but you can always go.
No, I looked it up too. Oh. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so that was the year that was like a couple of months right after Dow was born. Did we play outside?
I don't know. We played at the Crystal Corner.
That's right. Okay.
We drove by the Crystal Corner while we were there.
Yeah. Okay. So and I love Madison, and we got to go talk on WORT. That was really nice too, right? Remember that?
Yep.
I just love and the night before we had forced our child Dairy King to watch Slacker. Okay, I know this doesn't make sense talking about because Slacker is filmed in Austin, but it was like the upper Midwest version of Austin, Texas. I remember like how I just love Madison. It's very hippie, but I love it.
What was interesting about watching Slacker, and it has been a long time since I watched it, and I'm wondering if it's the first time I've watched it since the pervasive smartphone invasion. I think it must have been. And just realizing what it's a document of what life used to be like. And I'd forgotten, which is that you had to go places, you walked around, you talked to people, you had to go somewhere, you had to go to a show because, or you sat around and read newspapers or books or talked to people.
Well, I mean, even
it's before the internet
yeah,
too, I guess. Yeah, it's like
Wow.
barely. Yeah, it was. But I think I watched it before. But it was interesting to see and watching it with our kid, seeing how much has changed or has been lost in a way. It's like that's not his experience of being a college student, even. It's.
Yeah. Well, probably parts of it are like
Parts
just
of it
sitting
are, but
sitting around getting high and talking about the Smurfs.
Yeah, kind of, but not. You wouldn't necessarily even. Yeah, but the thing is that even that idea, and it's like, why is there so much stuff about conspiracy theories and, the guy with the TV sets, and it's you realize how much of the culture was word of mouth and underground and. Yeah, just underground, right? So all the conspiracy stuff. It was like
Yeah.
cool because it was like a subculture, whereas now it's a toxic subculture that influences elections.
Yeah, and brought through like realized through smartphones then actually because like you can I think of 2005 like the inception of Facebook as like the like the mark like the line that demarcates back in the before times and the after times of just staring at phones.
Yeah, so it's not the internet, it's Facebook, right?
I think it might be, and I'm not sure. Like, do we have to look to find out what year Slacker came out?
1989, was it?
Okay, all right. So
88?
that was like yeah, people weren't out really on the internet at that point. Like no,
No,
it's true.
they
They
weren't.
weren't. They weren't. We were podcasting even. But to me that what I wanted Dairy King to see was just the handoffs between. This is really interesting, right? What you want your kids to see from your life, like what inspired you, and I wanted my book to end like the ending of Slacker. Which like ends with dancing to me, and Jojo Rabbit ends like that, and there are like other movies that end like that. And I think I used to
Three Stooges shorts, when they ran out of money and time, they
Right.
would just run into the sunset. So anytime you see a Three Stooges short where they just kind of like something happens and then they just kind of go woo 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 and they start running down the street, that's Friday afternoon right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I wanted and I wanted my book to end like that because I am a simp. No, like I'm lazy. It's not that. It's when I remember thinking, oh, like they're gonna dance. That's the end of the movie. That's just they just ran out of ideas. Then like there's no coherent ending. And then the more I thought about like especially the end of Slacker, the more I just loved it because there's like it really wobbles at the end. It's like it goes so this is just following people around like as like it's kind of like the $20 bill movie, which I can't remember what it's called. $20. So it just follows people around. You get different vignettes and stuff like that. But at the end, you get I can't remember what happens. But then right at the end, you get the conspiracy guy who's really, really mad. What happens right before him?
$20. I'm sorry.
$20.
$20.
What happens before the conspiracy guy who's really, really mad? The guy driving around in the car, which to me like recalls Blues Brothers, but we won't go there. But very, very angry, and then you see these kids like just like dance, like it's just frivolous. They're just having fun. And then at the end they throw no, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Slacker, turn this off. But they throw the camera over the cliff, and I've probably talked about this 100 times on this podcast anyway. I just love that. I just think it's because to me that really is what the end is going to be. Like it's all over, so you may as well have a good time. I think I had thought about that, and I thought like I probably watched this movie while I was like doing a lot of like sitting, like meditation, and like being in the Buddhist sangha in Champagne and stuff like that, right? So probably no,
Not in 1989. No.
not in 1989.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said 1998.
No.
It was 1989. Oh, it was totally before the internet. Then never mind. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Well, I probably thought about it at least while I was sitting and trying not to think of anything. But I wanted my book to end like that, and it does. Thank you.
So everyone who has Rose's book, make sure when you finish it, last page,
Throw
you
it
just
off
gotta
the cliff.
Throw it off a cliff.
Yeah, totally.
Don't share it with anyone. Tell them to buy a copy. And then throw it off a cliff
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end. Or earlier if it angers you.
So our shows, let's go back to that. So because we took a detour to Austin from Madison. We had a wonderful time in Madison. Remember, well, like I walked into the club and I was like, "Ooh, this is a fancy club," and it wasn't snowing, so that was nice. The bands that played with us were great. There was a band full of like 4-year-olds named Von Baum, right? And they were like, they were really, really good. They looked very unassuming. And then Wendy Schneider played with us. Her band played with us. Howler. They actually invited us all to play. They put the show together, and that was fantastic. They were really good. What else? And then I just had a really enjoyable experience. I think it was hard. It was hard up on that stage to play for some reason, but it was good. Right? You have anything to say about it?
No. I thought I saw the bitrate glitch on our streaming, so I'm sorry I got
And then
distracted.
we stayed overnight in Madison, and it was just nice to drive around. It's just so kind of loose, and go into WORT and like just being there because we hadn't been there for a long time.
Yeah, just that idea of going on a radio station and
Yeah.
talking, and somebody,
Yeah.
that was like,
We
thanks
had to
for
wear-
doing this. And I was like, yeah, this is like the old days.
Yeah.
This is what we used to always do. This was our whole life.
Right. Yeah, it was like
Driving into town and going to the local station and then doing a
talking.
thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then going to sound check and
Yeah.
playing a show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was terrific. And we saw the water too. So Madison, it's a college town. It's a state capital. They have lakes. I mean, and they have like incredible restaurants. It is just a wonderful, wonderful place. So kind of wistful that I don't live there, but it's nice to visit, and forgot that I hadn't visited.
It's always nice to go there unless it's December, which, we've gone there in December.
Yeah.
And it's been, scary.
So, and then we visited our friends Bricks and Minifigs, Lego resale shop, right? Dan's shop, and that was really wonderful. And then we went to Brad Van's
Aftershock
arcade. which was like just fantastic also, and just like being in people's lives, shop owners' lives in Madison.
It was like Slacker.
It really was, right? It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. And then we had to come back here. God damn it. No, I'm just kidding. And then the next night we played Bloomington. We played Normal, Make Music Normal, and that was a 2-day festival full of like just participatory people getting on stage. You could get up on stage if you really wanted and play a set. But then they also had, bands, like already established bands.
You make it sound like an open mic night.
Yeah,
They
it's
did have
not.
some open
they
mic
they
stuff,
had
right?
some open night.
Yeah.
My God, they had like I don't know how many stages they had either. Like they had like 4 or 5 stages. It was really really growing, and I was sad that I couldn't spend the whole 2 days here. I was a little sad that we were playing Madison the night before. The day before.
So which is it? Were you happy about Madison or were
I
you
was
sad?
both. I was wonderful.
Happy and sad.
Happy and sad. But there'll be another Make Music Normal next year, and I'll be there for it.
And I just noticed I'm looking in the background of the live stream, and so somebody had asked about the red plate disappearing. But as you'll notice, Rose went to the neighborhood thrift store, which is its name, right?
That's what it's called.
And now we have 2 of the red plates. So somebody was worried that the red plate was gone. But what's happened is now there's a second red plate.
I just realized I'm not clicking to see comments and stuff. So I think it's only Tim that's watching us. Hello, Tim.
What
Says hi.
what continent is Tim
Doesn't
on today?
doesn't
He's
even
not
say.
even going to say.
Yeah,
He
he's
doesn't want to
not-
be
He's a
taunted.
spy. Did derecho hit your home yesterday? Is that what it was?
We did have some horizontal winds. The
Yeah.
younger one and I were in the car.
Oh.
We had just left Tarjay.
Tim's in North Carolina.
Oh,
We'll
interesting.
talk about you.
And yeah, we got out of Tarjay just in time, and then there was a huge
The boob hit you.
huge
You know, like
thunderstorm rain.
it looked just like I was looking at it, and then I was having PTSD from having breast cancer because the radar looked exactly like my boob, and like it was just red on the outside, like this giant red. Yeah, that must have been a derecho. Yeah, at 80 mile per hour winds at Willard. Tim is saying.
Yeah, we only saw one tree down when we were driving, and
But-
I think we lost a tree a couple years ago. So the tree, well, see now I can't even talk about that because now another tree's going to go down at some point. But yeah, we didn't lose any trees locally, like within our block. Usually somebody has a big giant tree because our neighborhood's full of old trees.
Yeah.
100-year-old trees. So usually one goes down during those type of storms, but apparently they've all been cleared out.
I was in Urbana yesterday, though. You could see trees down, and there's all my friends in Urbana do not have power. Like, they haven't had power for 24 hours.
Yeah, I think it was worse over there.
Yeah.
But
jeez.
we finally did get rain. Even when Chicago got some rain a couple of days or weeks ago, we did not get rain.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think we'd had rain for at least a month, if not longer.
I saw a meme somebody had posted that said all Midwesterners right now. Well, we sure did need that rain. So back to the show. Did you have fun playing in your hometown in front of people? There were a whole bunch of people who had never seen us before. I asked from the stage.
Yeah,
it was kind of fun.
I assumed that would happen.
Yeah, yeah.
It was better than last time. Last time we played that show outside, I had lost my voice. So this time,
oh yeah.
But it was better. It was better.
Yeah, and
I actually am remembering. I have a feeling we've played a number of bad shows in Bloomington Normal over the history of our band. I can't remember. Sometime in the 90s, we played another outdoor show. I think it might have been at Wesleyan that I have a feeling went badly also.
It's possible.
I have a feeling that maybe the last good show we played in Bloomington was in 1988.
Which was the first show we played there. Did you, has anybody, I haven't been on campus, so has anybody come up to you and said, I saw you play?
Where would I, how?
Yeah, you haven't been on campus either.
I've been in my basement.
I do, there were, our colleagues, it's kind of weird. It's weird playing in front of colleagues, people who know you in your other life, and then they come up to you and they go, that was really fun. You guys were fun. So I had plenty of that. You guys were fun, but we, to be fair, we were goofing around on the stage anyway. So we were having fun. It was fun.
Supposed to be interactive.
Yeah. And I talked. Okay. So, all right. So anyway, it was a pleasure to play shows. I've been thinking about, it was really kind of fun. I'm kind of wistful. I'm looking forward to the Milwaukee show because that's going to be fun also. And we'll make some more shirts, or I'll make some more shirts. Okay. Let's move into politics then.
Smokey, we talked about the weather. We finally got rain. You don't want to talk about Smokey.
You can talk about that,
I
yeah.
don't know if there's anything to talk about. The smoke is gone, so I guess that's good.
Well, it wasn't as bad as so it's the Canadian wildfires, and then I posted on Facebook about erecting giant fans on the northeastern United States border, and then somebody wrote underneath it, that's actually what happened in David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest. And I'm like, oh, really? And then I got mad. I was like, what do you think? Do you think I just made that up? Think I'm that smart?
Yeah.
I finished that book, God damn it.
What was interesting is, we must have
ego.
talked about it. Junior was on his junior high field trip when New York and D.C. were smoky, and then he got he's gotten a double dose of
Oh,
end time smoky air.
it's Canadian air of smoke, right? It's
So
probably
it's
not
natural,
that bad.
right? Not as many chemicals. It's
Yeah.
like smoking those natural cigarettes.
I know.
What are they called? American lung? What are they called?
I don't know, but it's gone now. It rained like crazy, and now it's gone. Now the air is clean again, so that's good until it comes back, right? Can't they just put those out?
They're working on it.
Good.
The only problem is usually this is about the start of fire season.
Yeah,
so fire season's a little early this year for some reason.
Yeah. It is really like you were saying that what's going to happen with climate change is that the temperature is going to wobble even more, right? It's going to be really hot. And it's going to.
That's
be really
my
cold.
theory.
It's
No
your
one's
theory.
listening to me. I've been talking about this for years. No,
Okay.
yeah, that's not my thought. It was the most reasonable explanation I heard from knowledgeable people,
Okay.
i.e.
Scientists.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Then we'll move on into politics. I'm gonna read DJ's note because I like this, and then I felt bad because I was like, you should share this, and then DJ's like, I don't normally share stuff because probably because he probably has all types of friends on Facebook, whereas I don't. All of my friends are all. I don't have any. Like I've lost all those other type of friends that I should have. I'm not a well-rounded friend. But anyway, woo. These Supreme Court decisions today, am I right? This is what DJ wrote. It's almost like we live in a country where our presidential electoral system was designed to give slave owner states outsized power, leading us to occasionally install a president without a majority popular vote who can then stack the Supreme Court with candidates groomed by a fanatically Christian right-wing think tank that subscribes to a racist and patriarchal how do you say that?
You said it right the first time.
Patriarchal view of the ideal society, along with the help of power-mad Republican senators who gamed the rule book so said minority-elected president would get an extra seat to nominate. And then this is the upper and lower caps thing. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. And then he's happy that he can breathe outside today without a mask. At least I can breathe outside. Yay. So I thought that was a good starting point. And then our governor wrote, has issued a statement, and our president too. The president of ISU has also issued a statement, but our governor has issued a statement from Governor Pritzker on the Supreme Court's decision to overturn student loan forgiveness in the wake of the hardship experienced by debt-strapped Americans recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Supreme Court has denied them relief. 40% of Americans with student loans do not have a college diploma. These are hardworking families just trying to get by who hoped to further their education and instead found themselves often saddled with insurmountable debt. With this latest decision, the court, stacked with some of the most elite college degrees on earth, told millions of low and middle income people that higher education should return to being predominantly the province of the wealthiest Americans. Government exists to solve problems, not compound them. In Illinois, we have increased student assistance by 75% just in the last 4 years, making it more possible for people to afford college, including allowing people to attend community college free. With these actions, we are helping people avoid taking out student loans in the first place. And let's
just go through my usual rants, which is college has always been expensive, whereas in the past we as a society, as a culture, thought that college was a priority, and to have a better educated populace that we would help financially support colleges. So for instance, Illinois State University, 13% of our budget now comes from state funding. It's basically a 50% cut in the past 20 years, and I don't even know how much of the state money has been cut over the past 40 years. So we basically stopped supporting public education, higher education, right? So that's why it's become more expensive. What's the other thing? I think that's it, right? That's why it's so expensive. And then also there's always the complaint about the administrative costs. It's like, you just have to find efficiencies. You need to cut the budget. It's the same as the post office bullshit, right? It's basically so. It's an amazing little trick, which is to tell universities that they have to be run like a business and for profit. And so, in a lot of situations, that actually did create some administrative levels, more administration. But also that meant that since they were reducing benefits, that they'd say things like, well, if you're going to run a medical school, you've got to be paid as much as someone who runs a hospital, right? And so there was inflationary income there, right? And then they turn around and say, look at how much money these administrators at these universities are costing, right? These coaches also, they always talk about the coaches, but that's not state money, but. And so it's a kind of bait and switch. Run your university like a business, and then you have all this administration that comes in running it like a business, and then pointing to that administration that you encouraged us to put in place, and say, look at how expensive that is. And then on top of it, cut the budget. So basically, it's and so student loan forgiveness, that's a way of basically using public funds to finance college education, because we are not doing that now with our state funds, right? And federal funds. I mean, those budgets are being cut. So, yeah.
So you go on like I read a little bit of the comments just to find out like what the talking points of the other side are.
So we subsidized college education after World War II. Publicly subsidized it. And then since the 1980s, Ronald Reagan, started cutting that subsidizing of college higher education. Now it's massively expensive, and poor people, middle-class people, cannot afford it. Therefore, only rich people have college, and rich people don't want to pay taxes for not even poor people, just everybody else who can't afford a private education. They don't want to pay for it. And they don't think they need it. Until they say things like, our workforce isn't educated. We have a bunch of dumb people that can't do their job, we want an educated workforce. We want a workforce that that are problem solvers and innovators and, are able to think in complex
ways. Are the same people saying that don't want to pay taxes?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Total
I pulled
two-faced
myself
bullfish.
up.
Bullshit. Yeah.
I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. These people need to get jobs if they want to push themselves through college. I did it. These millennials are busy eating avocados or whatever. So then there's also
affirmative action, right?
Yeah, let's go into that.
Well, right. California hasn't been doing race-based admissions for 20 years, right? And then we don't either, right? Ours, we do take into consideration income, right? And we have Illinois State University. What the president's letter said is that our demographics, for the first time, are matching the demographics of Illinois.
Yeah.
Racial demographics of our student body, our incoming freshman classes. So, but we're not using race as a determining factor. We're using other factors such as ability and financial need.
I'm looking for the message that he sent.
And so this is also
beautiful message.
and so that's the thing, is like people think affirmative action is putting a thumb on the scale, and it is, but the scale is super unbalanced, right? So it's all economic. So what do? Well, we just got to figure out, we got to play by these cockamamie capitalist economic rules in order to help other people, which basically means like everything has to be financially based. Your worth, and so if you're a progressive, not even a progressive, you're just a rational human being that believes in democracy and helping a community rather than just yourself, and don't believe in individual anarchy, right?
Yeah.
Then it's all going to be financial based. So it's like if someone comes from a background, they're being discriminated against financially, right? Which oddly enough also parallels with racial discrimination. Well, we can use, if these people want to make money, the rules, then we've got to use financial means in order to help others. And unfortunately, the United States government or the federal government or these communities, this democracy we've built is not going to be the method or the conduit. The federal level is not going to be the conduit from which to do this. Hopefully, maybe on the state level.
So
Welcome to
yeah.
Illinois, everyone. Come to our
Yeah.
beautiful island.
Yeah, yeah. I Governor Pritzker's making it a pretty nice place, I think. And then I know I like to, I can't go on the Facebook when he posts stuff because there are all these people, posting shit. But there are less people posting it now. I hope maybe somebody goes through and culls that.
And since there are a few substantial insurance companies that are in Illinois and specifically in our town, you might actually be able to continue to live and be insured in this state. Also, we'll see if the insurance companies try to back out of. Well, yeah, I don't know how insurance companies. I mean, that was the one thing I was thinking. Oh, that's going to be a stable, sector. Insurance is always right,
Yeah.
but it's like if you can't insure because the planet is spinning out of control and
You
you
can
have
talk
no
about
way
that
of
too. Wait.
running the numbers to the point where no one can afford insurance because you have to basically charge them as much as they're paying for their mortgage, if they even have a mortgage, right? Or so landlords, so even if you're renting, your landlord possibly has a mortgage or something.
Wait.
If you're paying that much for insurance on top of it, there are going to be more and more people who can't afford it, and then that's going to collapse. But we'll bail that out, right? I'm sure Supreme Court has got lots to say about supporting insurance companies.
I just want to read to you, like I didn't see a public facing statement, so I'm going to read this anyway from our interim president just because I love it. So because ISU does not use race as a factor in admissions, this Supreme Court ruling will not affect our admissions process. ISU employs a comprehensive and well-rounded admissions process that integrates high school or transfer GPA, grade trends, course completion, and other factors that may include student curricular activities and evidence of civic engagement and volunteerism. Standardized test scores and personal statements are optional. And as I'm looking at our dashboards, like looking at incoming freshmen, I see that like a lot of them don't include their ACT or SAT. They don't have to. It's optional. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's been optional for a couple of years.
I thought it was, but I for some reason, that's cool. So, and then, having said that, I want to make abundantly clear that we remain committed and intentional in our efforts to ensure students from all communities and identities across our state and beyond have access to ISU's educational opportunities. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It made me so happy that you wake up, you see you hear this bullshit coming out of the government, and then like our local government is rescuing us. So I feel like our school president, like where we work, our governor. It's nice. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, but it's worrisome. I mean, yeah. Being an island is not necessarily secure. There's some security in that, right? You got your England, right? There's some advantages to have been the British Isles.
Yeah.
But there were some disadvantages too. So that's all I'm thinking about.
Okay, let's see. Tim Bowers says there was smoke as far south as South Carolina, and some actually got into mainland Europe. Smoke may have enhanced the rain. Smoke particles helping water vapor latch onto and get bigger.
Yeah. I felt like, that's what I said.
It
when
felt
it started
weird.
raining,
Yeah,
I was like, see, it all balances out.
Right, exactly, yeah. And Ben says hello. Okay, and can only hop on for a
But
second.
then I think about, again, that dark George Carlin documentary where he at the end, where he is just so, he doesn't find any peace, and he's just talk. What does he talk about? is he the one who talks about the planet just shaking us off like a dog shakes off water? It's like at some point the planet's just going to shake us off, right? It's just like, that's what I think about too. It's just like, ugh. I hate getting into that mindset, but it's hard not to.
So, okay.
And then finding out the axis, how the axis of the Earth is moving. It's changing, like not imaginary, but the rotational axis. It's drifting, and that's because they figured out it's because of the ice caps, the ice melting, and then also us draining water from the ground and moving it other places. It's starting to unbalance the actual Earth. We're shifting it.
I want to see I want to hear the success stories of people like who didn't believe in climate change before, and now they're like, oh wait, but they still, their new thing is that it's not being created by humans anyway, right? They're like, this is just progress. This is just the way the world's going to work, right? Because there is a guy in Florida that I know, that my parents know, a friend of my parents, who absolutely doesn't believe, like, he's still untouched by reality. Like, you can talk to him and he's like, you believe in that global warming shit? Like it's cool to talk to him because it's like a artifact.
Well, it's a form of optimism, right, in a way.
Okay.
Which is that it's a way of, it's actually, we didn't talk about the submersible because that's been a while now, but it's that idea.
Yeah,
it's somebody talked about it. It's like the this kind of billionaire viewpoint, which is just kind of like, oh, we can buy our way, or sort of, ignore all this and just kind of push ahead and solve our problem. And so that's the thing, it is the idea of like going to space, right? And we got onto the moon, but that was a Herculean socialist effort. And now we're replacing that with this kind of capitalist effort, free market effort, right?
Yeah. Free market will save.
So people who believe that also believe that smart people can get us out of the problem. Like long-term thinking is not important because we can short-term our way through everything. And in fact, I just saw an interview with some dude who was talking about how he wasn't privileged because his rich British family, lost all their money, and so then when he was poor, like basically, one of those people that used to be rich and then was poor, and then how it helped him being poor and how he pulled himself up by his bootstraps, completely ignorant of his privilege and the fact that, oh yeah, well you're related to a whole bunch of rich people and you're a posh English guy in Chicago. And then but yeah, talking about how his grandfather's advice was to just solve the problem that's right in front of you. Don't work on becoming a billionaire.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment, which is fine. I think that's a beautiful thought. But the problem is that that's kind of where we're at now. And people, it's a form. I think it's a form of optimism, and then there's also a form of faith, right? There's faith, which is just simply, God's not going to let anything happen, that's not meant to happen.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. If this is what, God wants my yard to flood and take my house away, Anyway, anywho, anything about the web designer that doesn't want to make a website for a gay wedding and has said, like, from what I heard, like he's made websites for other gay people before. He just doesn't want to, or she, I don't know. I don't even know the gender of the web designer, but they've made websites for gay people. They just don't want to make one for the gay wedding. Why does somebody, isn't that a private, it's a business that serves the public is what they said, right? And so that's why they're suing to, I think they're.
Yeah, I mean it's discriminatory. So
Yeah.
the thing is that you can you could say, well, and so then if you exchange that for, let's say, a person of color, like I don't want to make websites, or a couple that's
what if it's
one
a
of
white
them is
supremacist?
white, one of them is
Black,
is
yeah.
brown,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do a website for that wedding.
What if
right?
it's I don't want to do a website for
so-
white supremacists?
Yeah, and so you can take it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, like with everything, where it's like you don't have you like I was like I don't like libertarianism. I don't like being a libertarian. I don't like thinking about the world in libertarian terms, but the reality is that it's becoming that world, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate it. And so again, this racist free market kind of absolutism, right? So then it is basically, okay, you want to be a fucking toxic racist or a anti-LGBTQ, ranter, and you want to have that define your business and restrict your business, then the market will decide. And so that's the problem, is that so all of this is being institutionalized, this free market kind of way of doing things. But that does mean that maybe you'll find if there'll be places where people will prevent a business, or will just not go to a business that's
That's
is
racist. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
With
the advent of Facebook, see, this is why, and other social media, word can spread much further than.
And that's why the term canceling has come about, right? Because
Yeah.
that's a way of trying to. It's like, oh shit! Wait, you're telling me that I'm going to say I don't like these people. I don't like this. I don't want to do business with them. And then a bunch of other people say, I don't want to do business with you because you're a racist. You're anti-gay. Right, and then they're all, oh, you're canceling me. Oh, that's not fair. It's a way of not acknowledging, the free market bullshit that you're basically. It's like, okay, this is it. You decided this, and now you're gonna fail based on your rules and your terms, right? And then you're gonna complain about it.
All right, good.
But I hate it. Because that means that that's the world we're in. We're in this free market bullshit world.
Well, I don't. I actually, and I'm a realist, and I know there are white supremacists and sexist and anti and homophobes and
haters. Let's just call them haters.
Yeah, I know that there are haters, and I hate them. Now I know that there are haters. And I don't know, like to make them, I don't know, like if I had white supremacists in my classroom, and I have had white supremacists in my classroom, I feel like my job is just to teach them what I'm supposed to teach them, and actually make them like just shepherd them through my class. I'm not teaching politics, so I don't feel like hey, you know what, you white supremacist, you can't come into my class. Right? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do if you had a Nazi in your class?
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's the problem, is it's not that obvious. That's not what's going on here. That's an exaggeration and an extreme, and it's the more kind of middle of the road, subliminal kind of boiling under, just not institutionalized, just sort of acceptable coded racism.
That's why.
And discrimination.
That's why.
And anti-people, kind of anti-human.
That's why this.
Anti-diversity, variety, anti-democratic ideas that have been sort of instilled in people.
Yeah, so, this all goes, every time when my mind thinks about all this stuff, now that I'm old, my mind goes to like, how can we gently teach people to not hate each other? Like, and you had what was it? I versus that. What was your saying? It was really good.
I'm not promoting my saying
over
and over again, because until it's a record title or
something. Oh, okay.
Good,
or
a T-shirt or something.
Yeah. You have a great saying, though. I love it. All right. So we're done with politics. We made it through. We made it through the politics. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Besides, like, when we can go into media then?
media.
Yeah, The Bear. We can talk about that.
Sure.
I'm so excited that I'm able to watch that because I was under the impression that there was too much camera movement, so I wouldn't be able to watch it. But
That's just the 20-minute episode,
yeah,
which is now divided up into pieces on Hulu, which was weird because when I watched it twice, showed it to Bag Boy a year ago. It was uncut. They were showing it uncut, but now they cut in the middle of it. But anyways, that's
you want
season
to talk
1.
like people are saying that, like I watched Succession. I did that, and then I felt very sad that all my rich friends left, and I felt sad that they couldn't be happy even though they have lots of money. And then I had like a week off of having friends, TV friends, and then I started
You got
watching
your
this.
Chicago friends who listen to a lot of Wilco.
Dad rock
Dad Rock.
is what you called it. Yeah. Well,
Again, I've been calling it Dad Rock. I don't know why people don't catch on with that.
I played Squeeze. So the episode that I'm on now, or that I think that we're on, we heard The Replacements
they're expanding out, but it's still
and Squeeze, and then
what was playing at the party?
Psychedelic Furs. That was to remind you about Pretty in Pink.
And
it was to remind you of John. It was like a little nod to John Hughes.
But it's like this party was like a 20-something party, and what were they playing? Were they playing The
Psychedelic
Replacements? Psychedelic Furs. And I
Pretty in
understand.
Pink.
It's a John Hughes reference, and I understand. Like our kid listens to Tyler, the Creator, and Creedence Clearwater Revival, so everything's all over the place now. But I feel like if you're going to have a party scene, you should have music from at least some point after the characters were born. I don't think you should have.
Oh yeah, that was a little weird.
Their grandparents listened to, but I guess that's fine. That's me again. That's just my problem.
It is because oh my God. Okay, Karen Ortolano says, white supremacists are not a legally protected class. Yes, we know that. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true? I would argue they are. I would argue that they have been.
SCOTUS just legalized discrimination against a protected class.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are protected.
I would argue yes.
White supremacists are a protected.
And that's
class.
actually what's going on is the preservation of white supremacy. Is these legal decisions are, if you want to extract them out and put just a fine point on it, it's all about sort of maintaining or recreating this,
making America great again.
Exactly.
All right, so back to The Bear.
So we're not finished through season 2 yet, so we can't. But we're up to the episode 6. So
people
the
start
Christmas dinner episode.
Yeah.
So but we can't really talk about it because
we don't know what happens at the
I'm
end.
seeing like inklings just in my news feed where there's like certain titles and nothing's been spoiled yet, but I have a feeling there's more to be experienced in the next 4 episodes, so we can't. I don't want it to be spoiled, but yeah.
You liking Chicago as a character?
I am, and I'm thinking about, what was I doing? The thing is that I am starting to feel like maybe if and when we retire that we should go back to Chicago. I'm starting to feel like Chicago's a good place, like a place that I could live in.
Why?
And of course, by Chicago, I mean the suburbs.
What the hell's the matter with you? Fuck you.
Just the fact that, like, for instance, the Music Box has the hypnosis documentary, playing, and
but there's gonna be high-speed trains from here to Chicago.
Exactly.
Will there be? But not from Champaign. Like I'd move back.
And since Portillo's has a garden dog now, which I know is kind of half-assed to even talk about Portillo's like it's a real Chicago institution, as opposed to just the same as, those franchised Uno's pizzas that were everywhere. We've
eaten at Portillo's a couple of times now with the garden dogs, like trying to remind ourselves of Chicago.
And then, I'm trying to think. There was something else.
No, okay. So
watching the footage of the city and stuff, and having Bag Boy living out there, or Dairy King.
Yeah.
He's back at Dairy. He's Dairy King again. doing some summer work for the ice cream or the dairy overlord.
Andy says there won't be high-speed trains until after we are dead. Hopefully not, Andy. What are you talking about?
Well,
there's
they've
gonna
actually they
working
increased
on
the
'em here.
speed from but they've done a speed increase between Chicago and St. Louis, which means
15 minutes faster.
15 minutes faster from St. Louis to Chicago, which
Yeah.
means for us about 7 minutes faster.
Yeah.
But also it also means that unless the train has hit someone or there's been some sort of issue, and so that's the problem is occasionally you'll get on a train and then it will take 8 hours.
8 hours to
get to Chicago,
but that's like
although that's never happened to me.
Yeah, it has.
And did it? Oh, the Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Not this.
It's
this
it's
Taylor
kind of
Swift
like
concert.
it's
the
half
one
and half.
5 years ago or
Yeah,
whatever. That's
yeah, it's
right.
half and half. Half the time you get on the train, it takes 8 hours, and the other half it gets.
And
there
that's
on
not
that.
true. It's occasional. And Bag Boy Dairy King had a problem.
It was a couple of times that they had.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But he was taking it fairly frequently, and
Yeah.
it did happen twice.
But so
He
you
got
like
stuck.
Chicago? You're so what confused me is I've been seeing the 773 tattoo on the main character's hand or arm or something like that, and I wasn't like for like the whole first season. I was like, it looks like 773, but I guess it's probably 223. It's like, what is it? And then by the second season, I was like, that has got to be 773, and that's like this. That's the new Chicago area code that like it's like the suburbs Chicago area code.
It's not.
Why isn't it 312?
The suburbs Chicago area code is 708. So it used to be.
Oh.
So my family telephone number was 312 when I was a kid out in the suburbs.
What is it now?
708. It
you have
switched over to
708.
708.
Oh, okay,
Like my
so-
mom's a 708 now,
Okay.
and now 773 is outside the loop, I believe.
Okay, all right.
But it's still in the city.
Yeah,
It's an overlay, right? They're all overlays now. They're not. Are they even regional? But yeah, it is kind of like.
Why didn't he have 312?
Yeah, it's a weird. It seems weird to me, but maybe it's an immature thing, like a kid. But then why are you listening to the Psychedelic Furs at your party?
Yeah, so
if you're
Andy
an
says
ignorant
773 is the Chicago that is not the loop. Yeah, we know 773 is not an overlay of 312.
Why would you get a tattoo of that? Why would you be proud of that?
Okay, so here's the thing.
that's like-
but the producer, somebody said, I read, because I looked it up, and he said that is something that it shows that he got it when he was
a
immature.
Kid. Immature,
Yeah,
right?
immature
right.
kid.
It's yes.
Yeah, it's cool then. Now I'm convinced.
I think
I
that's
was conflating it with 708.
somebody just like when that poster like they're at the jail and he's picking up what's his name, Richie at the jail. Is that
Mm-hmm.
the first season? Yeah, it's the end of the first season, and it has there's a poster in the back, and it says Cook County. You noticed it, and Cook is spelled COOKE.
Yeah, that was really
and it's
weird
like,
too.
okay.
Why is that spelled with an E?
Yeah, it's like, okay.
But, okay,
I
so
thought
my
they
parents-
shot in Chicago too. I was pretty sure they were shooting at that huge studio in Chicago, and it's like, why is this happening? Why
we
are
haven't
these-
looked it up yet. I'm sure there's a reason. Andy's telling us about the other area codes. Andy,
Yeah,
you know what's weird? I have
so
a lot of them memorized.
It would only be cool. The only cool area code to have would be 312, and if you were a 55-year-old person.
But yeah, so it's more legit that he has a 773 and he got it when he was younger and he's embarrassed of it now, right? Or he never lived in a 312. Well,
Yeah.
or he's younger. He's younger,
I
so
just
he
listened
wasn't
to
there.
the Chuck Klosterman thing about area codes. There's a whole. Just read Chuck Klosterman's thing. It's interesting. You've read it.
I listened to it. I want to read it. Okay. So what else? All right. There was something else too that I wanted to say that I really liked.
It's not getting an area code is not cool if you were born after cell phones allowed you to keep your number.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
agree.
I've
agree.
got a 217.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
We're
I
in the
guess
217.
even though we live in 309, which is now changing to. There's an overlay for us even. I can't even remember what? The area. There's a new overlay. 309 is used up.
Oh, I didn't know
217 is used up.
217 is used up too?
I think so.
Damn.
Yeah. They've got a new overlay for Central Illinois even.
Okay.
It's not cool. Overlays aren't cool. New area codes aren't cool. Dial. If you dialed your area code.
I've been having an argument with
Or
our youngest.
If your grandmother could call your parents without dialing an area code, your grandmother lived in the city and you lived in the suburbs, and your grandmother could call your dad.
Says the old man.
Yeah, on the phone without putting in an area code.
So
that's cool.
So you know the song that ends talk radio. Do 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 do.
Yeah,
you know
the
that
Penguin
song?
Cafe Orchestra.
Okay.
What is it called? I can't remember. The Penguin Cafe Orchestra song that, what's their name? Space Hog.
Space Hog sample.
Appropriated.
Appropriated.
Maybe didn't sample.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I actually, Royston was the assistant engineer, mixing engineer on Junior Citizen. What's his stage name though? He was Royston. He had the demos. He had the Space Hog demos that were sounded more David Bowie like. Yeah, because Bryce, who mixed Junior Citizen, wound up engineering that Space Hog and mixing that Space Hog.
Oh, and they covered "He's My Star" or
they
something.
Did, yeah. Because and I always felt pretty proud of that. He loved the song and everything like that. But I realized it was because he was in a freaking mixing studio, listening to the song over and over again,
Still
hundreds of times. No, but that's what happens. It's just about repetition.
Yeah. But
it's
anyway,
not about it being a good song. It's about he heard it hundreds of times and was like, oh, that's a great song. And
so,
it's not because it's a great song. It's because it got drilled into his head. He fell asleep, and that song was in his head, and then they decided to play it.
Oh, whatever. And we were underappreciated. But so the reason I bring this up is because I'm talking to the little guy, our child, and trying to explain to him how a touch tone phone works. That you would play this on the phone, and he's still like, this has been like over 2 weeks, at least 2 week argument about him coming back and going, yeah, but this, because he doesn't think that he doesn't think that the music was appropriated. And then last thing I had to say to him was...
I think that was their argument. I think they recreated that. I think they started out with a sample, and then they just took the phone, the busy tones, and then
because it's a different note, too. It's different notes, and then they even play it later on. They play it there, too, but it doesn't...
I don't think they got away with it.
It is... They shouldn't have, because it's taken from that song. It is taken from... the song. But I had to explain that how touch tones worked, that if you held down the button, it would play longer. Because he didn't even, and then he was like, oh, like that won it for him. Like I had to fight that same battle that whatever Electric Penguin Orchestra had to fight.
Penguin Cafe Orchestra. What was interesting is the younger one, he somebody had a dial phone, and he has a dial phone like he got somewhere, it's a nostalgia thing. And somebody brought it to school, like a teacher or something, and said, does anyone know how to use this? And he raised his hand and got up and used it, dialed, showed everyone how to dial. And then the teacher said, you had everything right except for the fact that you didn't pick up the phone. Which is like, oh yeah, that's right. You gotta hold... You got to take the phone off the cradle
in order to run it. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I like that. I like that teacher then. Yeah, that was the other thing I didn't talk about in the Bears, like people complaining or people saying it gives people who are working in kitchens PTSD from that. And then the one part that you showed me, that you thought to show me like before I had ever seen it, you were like, you got to watch this part. And it was like the flashback of him of the main character, like being yelled at for being short and stuff.
The first Community guest star, I'm realizing, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even make the connection that there have been two and a half Community appearances.
Who's the
I don't want to spoil it. I don't. Oh no, yeah. What's his name from Community is the evil head chef or whatever.
The
in
main
the flashback.
guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then there's somebody else from Community who shows up, but I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know. Yeah.
It was a surprise. It surprised you didn't know. You didn't notice, but
well, and okay, I mean, can we spoiler can I talk about the comedian?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think
all
that
right, I won't.
episode. So I think that
yeah,
that
people
whole
haven't
episode.
made it to that episode
yeah,
yet.
if they haven't.
But anyway, I really enjoyed that kitchen scene with the guy just going, "You have a short man's complex," right? Like, because I had that same type of training in my martial arts class. So just it validated it all. It was just like, yeah, that's how some people train people.
Yeah, and I saw Rick Bayless saying it's not like that anymore, or it's gotten better. But of course, that's in his best interest because he runs restaurants. He doesn't want the young people to get scared about working.
Why would you in a
restaurant.
restaurant situation? Why would you want to get people riled up like that? I can understand it.
It's the same. It's that same attitude. It's like what like you were saying about the martial arts thing. It's kind of that more military like perspective. It happens with music, like we were talking about. Like
Whiplash.
Whiplash. It's a change in sort of approaches on how to get people to do things they don't want to do or how to excel. Right? Is if you make everybody all happy and comfortable, they're not going to do their work. But and you've got to be it's that idea, and it's also the I Love Lucy conveyor belt. You've got to. It's just the machine can't stop. You can't say, oh, sorry, no food. Sorry, we're not going to serve you.
Oh, so you get you've got to people have got to.
Yeah, it's a terrible business to try to. I mean, restaurants fail almost as much as recording studios. So it's I mean, like what was the people who ran Pickles in Champaign? Just listening to them, like it's like we're retiring. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was some restaurant that had been around for 40 years, and it was just like, yeah, we're gonna take a vacation. We haven't had a vacation for 40 years. It's just like, oh my God. It's like you can't leave the restaurant because if you leave you think about it. It's like you leave the restaurant for a week or a day, and all hell is going to break loose. Everything's going to fall apart because nobody cares as much as you do.
That's right.
Yeah,
about the restaurant.
Yeah, it's insane.
Almost like leaving your program alone without you being there or something. Andy says, best music touch tones are Sugar Loaf's Don't Call Us, We'll Call You. All right. You're not familiar with that?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I'm super sweaty.
Why are you sweaty? Oh, it's hot again. Are you wearing pants again?
Well, yeah, because it was cold this morning. Am I wearing pants again? And
No,
because I've
instead of
gotten through my shorts, I need to. Apparently, I need to buy another pair of shorts.
Tim is saying Oingo Boingo Elevator Man. Yeah.
I watched a film clip of Danny Elfman talking about writing the Batman soundtrack and how.
Why?
Because it was a video from back then.
Yeah.
And so it was like the third or fourth movie. He had done the Pee-wee's movies and something else, but then it was like his big thing. And then the problem, and I never even realized this, but then that there was that Prince record, right? There was the soundtrack, and then there was the official album or something that had a bunch of songs that Prince wrote, but only a couple are in the movie. But Prince didn't do the soundtrack, right? Danny Elfman did the soundtrack, and actually they wanted Prince and Danny Elfman to collaborate, and he said no and quit. Apparently,
who said no?
Danny Elfman was like,
wow.
"No, I'm not. No." Because it's just going to be a Prince sound. He was just like, "No, I've worked too hard for this," and then they were like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
you can come back and you can do it." And so he did all, I don't think he does the orchestration, right? The other guy does. I think the guitar player from Oingo Boingo is his orchestrator. But anyways,
This is why you should be teaching music business.
It was. Why was I talking about this? Oh, because somebody mentioned Oingo Boingo.
And Tim Bowers is asking, are you guys fans of Reaction Formation? Sure.
I mean,
we are.
We weren't.
From Champaign.
No, they
they're not from
moved
Champaign?
there, but they were from. Were they from Rockford? We knew two of them, right? So Jim went to school, and then who was the other guy that was in Champaign that was in Reaction Formation? The other guy, the singer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're fine.
But they had already had
Downers
didn't
Grove.
they? Yeah, they had music out
Before they moved
some
here.
of them. Yeah, some of them went to college in Champaign, so we knew of them. I think Andy right, had the single, had the reaction formation single.
Yeah, it was in our Brian Steele, Tim Bowers is saying. There,
Who was the?
was-
Oh no, it was the. Yeah, so
I
yeah.
can
Now I'm
look it up.
totally confused.
Yeah, but we're fans. I remember them. And we're fans of anybody from the Champagne scene.
They were kind of tangential though. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Were they? Oh no, they weren't.
No, they were. I feel
They
like
played,
they were, yeah.
but it was because Jim and the other guy were at school in Champaign, right? See, now I'd have to go back
I'd
and
still
look.
say yes. We're fans. Why?
Didn't
Why,
have the
Tim?
single.
Right.
Andy had the single.
Yeah, it was in our house. The single was in our house. The record was in our house, right? I probably didn't write anything about him in my book though, because I don't like.
Well, that was the thing is they were
Yeah.
Chicago suburbs band,
Okay.
and then I feel like they kind of went their separate ways, or were kind of less active once they all went to college, right? Isn't that what happened?
Oh, they're playing reunion shows in October. Oh, well, thanks for letting us know, Tim. That's cool. That's nice.
Jimmy Timble, that's who else was.
Timble.
Steve Timble.
Yeah,
Steve
Steve
Timble was, and
yeah.
Jim Slazarek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stopped
were
in
in
1994. Jim Slazarek was in that band?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good. He was there when we were recording, right? Didn't he record
It was his 4-track
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
whatchamacallit.
Toreador Squat was
Yes.
recorded on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was on
yeah.
Jim, and Jim, ran Trash Can with Chris.
We need to probably find those
Yeah,
tapes.
Galesburg Bound
Yeah.
was the single
Yeah.
that
Uh-oh.
Willie Wells recorded.
We
Yeah, it
have
was
a-
in Champaign.
We have a visitor.
Oh, and Brian.
Hopefully Dow heard that.
Brian Leach produced it. Interesting.
And we're fans of Brian Lee. We're fans of all those people.
All right, we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go get the door. You close it out.